Hello again and welcome to Inside Wyoming Football with head coach Craig Bohl. It's great to have you along as we broadcast from the Marion H. Rochelle Gateway Center. The Cowboys, well, took another one on the chin at Appalachian State last Saturday. And Coach, this was a game that the Cowboys were down 2 touchdowns, 14-0, about a little over 4 minutes into it. But I really like the way they fought back and made a game of this thing.
Well, they certainly did, and our guys keep on trying to the very end, and that's some things that we actually have to build on. We knew going in that Appalachian State was a very good football team. They had 20 starters returning from last year, also a very good runner, and we did get started out in a hole. And when you go on the road, that's always a tough thing to come back from, but our guys fought back to a certain degree, and there's some silver linings with this game, and we're going to keep on building on that.
You bet. Coach, why don't we go to Boone, North Carolina, the Cowboys and the Appalachian State Mountaineers. There's Cam warming up and Cowboys getting ready.
Here you can see just a little bit of the effects of a hurricane that's hitting the East Coast. They've had tremendous amount of rain there, and all during the game there were intermittent spots of rain, but here you can see the first play. This is a good runner. They've got a good surge up front. We've got to work on our pursuit angles there, and certainly not how we wanted to start. That was the second play of the game, I believe, but we needed to come back and get going. And here we're in a Wildcat offensive formation, and you can see just an excellent job of Brian Hill, who's done a great job running this year. Many broken tackles getting into the Appalachian State secondary. Along with that, here's another run by Brian. Good job of blocking up front. Brian changes the field here and gets down, and you can see still increasing the yardage. So now we're deep in Appalachian State's territory. We've got a miscommunication here and throwing a pick. The receiving quarterback, we need to be on the right page. Obviously a really difficult, challenging start here, 14-0. But like I said, I was really pleased with how our guys responded here. That the sideline wasn't down. We keep on working, and our guys are going to continue staying in the fight. Here's a slant route that Cam throws, and good job. Was great to have Tanner Gentry out there. He played with a great deal of pain. This is a slant route, good throw and a good catch to Tanner. So we continue to move on here. Here's a jet sweep and good job of blocking on the outside, and Tanner does a nice job, picks 15 yards. And once again, we're deep in Appalachian State's territory. Good misdirection play here. We did a nice job blocking on the perimeter, and you can see that Tanner does a good job eluding that guy and gaining some extra yards. And so now we're fourth and about 2, but we're 2nd and 2, and this is a good power off tackle play and score a touchdown. So now we're 14-7. The complexion of the game certainly has changed. Here you can see good movement up front. App State had a lot of big, strong guys up front. We were concerned with this young offensive line being able to get man-on-man, and did a nice job. Here you can see the quarterback come back. Marcus Epps, who's our leading interception, did a nice job, break on the football. We've got the ball deep in App State's territory. Unfortunately, in this off of this turnover, we weren't able to convert it, but a good jump on the football, and Marcus does a good job. He's got good instincts. Here you can see App State. They do a little fake field goal here. It was 4th down and about 5, and we didn't convert there, and they came in and converted on a touchdown right before half. Here you can see the touchdown pass. It's some good protection here, and a great throw and a great catch by App State, and that put us down 21-7 going into the room at halftime. So you can see the yardage here. Actually, we're out yarding them 223 to 174. There's some good things about that, but what's negative about that, we got to generate more points off those yards.
Yeah, of course, those 2 turnovers were big, but the numbers really, it's amazing how they can kind of be deceiving numbers when you look at it.
They can, but there's also an indication that we have the ability to move the football, and we got to finish off drives, and we got to prevent some big plays on defense.
Yeah. Boy, isn't it nice having that number 8 to hand the ball off to? He would have a great game. We'll see more of his highlights in the second half here.
He had a Charlie horse going into the game and really fought through that. We didn't think he could have some explosive runs, and he certainly did during the course of the game.
You bet. Well, stay with us. We have more to come on Inside Wyoming Football with head coach Craig Bohl. We're back right after this timeout.
Inside Wyoming Football with Craig Bohl is brought to you by your Magnificent 7 Wyoming Toyota dealers, Wyoming Relay, the University of Wyoming International Programs Office, and the University of Wyoming Outreach School.
Welcome back to Inside Wyoming Football with head coach Craig Bohl. Well, the Cowboys traveled all the way to Boone, North Carolina, and we're going to take a look at some of the second half highlights now as they took on Appalachian State. And Coach, I know coming out for the second half, you're pretty excited to play this second half. Cowboys very much in this football game.
Well, we certainly were, and it was going to be important we established some tempo. You know, App State playing at home's got a great record, and we knew we were going to have a challenge. They've got a very formidable offensive line, a good running back, and a stingy defense, and we needed to come up with a couple breaks here and get ourselves back in the game. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do that.
Yeah, let's go back to Kid Brewer Stadium, shall we, in Boone, North Carolina. Here we go, second half.
Here you can see they start out, and we get a good surge up front, and the running back once again does a good job piercing into the second level. Good job of a cutback here and a long run, a deep run into our territory there. And they come back here, and the quarterback comes in a keeper around the end, and this was a review play, but I believe they came back and reviewed it as a touchdown. So we're down here. It's going to be important that we create some energy, and as the game went along, our defense played better and better, and that's somewhat of a trademark of a younger team. We need to flip that around. Here you can see the fog's beginning to roll in, and but a lot of white jerseys around the football. Here you can see Osi here playing with the cast, and a good job of gang tackling. Once again, good pressure and good penetration up front, and our guys do a great job coming up with a defensive stop. Here Brian comes in and does a good job getting in the secondary and moves a chains here. And this is good pressure by Andrew Wingard coming on a blitz here. And Andrew really played a great football game and forced an incompletion. Really, I think we were did a good job on third down. They were 0 for 8 on third down, and this is one of the plays that we got off the field, and Andrew does a good job there. Here we're deep in our territory. This is a good job of blocking up front. Brian does a great job finding some room on the outside and gets us out of a deep hole. Change the field position. Here, once again, App State does a nice job of getting some good yardage, but you can see good job by our defensive guys coming back and gang tackling. Well, Andrew had a great game. He was our leading tackler, and that's good and bad. It's good to have a true freshman be your leading tackler, but it's a challenge. Here, they had a great field goal kicker, and they came up with a field goal. That was a difficult kick because that actually was into the wind, I believe, and some pretty tough conditions. Here, Tanner comes back and does, not Tanner, but Cam comes back and does a nice job throwing the ball downfield to Tanner Gentry, and we're not quitting. Our guys keep on challenging, and the ball's up in the air, and good job of Tanner catching the football here. And you can see the conditions get pretty foggy here. This is a pass out to Josh Tapscott, and it was encouraging to see another guy touch the football and come up with a touchdown. This is late in the game, but as you can see, our guys are still competing, and that's an important aspect. And good job here of Josh utilizing change of direction movement and lowering his shoulders and getting in the end zone. Here you can see the yardage, 373 to 314. The real telling tale is 3 turnovers to 1. Turnover margin, we got to do a better job getting turnovers and limit those. Time of possessions on our side. There were some good things out of that game. That was a good football team that we competed against, and we need to build on that.
Well, Brian Hill, of course, 208 yards, Coach. Third time that he's gone over 200, and he's gone over 107 of the last 10 games. he is really becoming a force, I think.
Well, he certainly is, and he's got excellent ability. He's a combination of good speed, but he's a powerful back, and he sees the field well. And you know, that was a good defense that we went up against, and so we'll continue to feed the ball to Brian. After the game, he was healthy. Need to have a good week of practice by our offensive line and Brian to make sure as we get ready for these Air Force guys.
Yeah, Air Force coming up next. Well, we're going to take a timeout. We're back with more on Inside Wyoming Football with head coach Craig Bohl. We're back right after this. Well, there have certainly been some bright spots for the Wyoming Cowboys, and one of them this season comes from the secondary. He's a true freshman. Andrew Wingard has really come on and played some outstanding football for the Wyoming Cowboys. Our own Kevin McKinney had a chance to sit down and visit with Andrew Wingard.
Cowboy fans coming to life on this third down. Hand it off on the fly sweep, and it's sniffed out by Wingard. Jordan has it, and Jordan is swung down by Wingard.
Wow, this kid is playing great football this afternoon.
Andrew, your dad was a punter in college, and I know we tend to make fun of punters because they just go out and kick all day long. Did your dad want you to be a punter when you were a kid? Did you guys work at that, or did he say, whatever you do, don't be a punter?
No. When I played actually Little League football, I was a kicker on my team, and I actually kicked barefoot too. So I played running back, so I'd score a touchdown, and then I'd take my shoe off, throw it to the sideline, and kick the extra point with my shoe off. You know, so when I had my shoe on, I tended to kick with my toe. You know, him being the kicking specialist, he's like, no, you can't kick with your toe, so I'm gonna make you kick with your shoe off, so you use your foot. So I would score touchdowns, and then I'd kick with my foot. But no, my whole childhood, he just told me, do whatever you want, and I'll support you. So.
And of course, I know he's got to be very proud of his son now playing major college football.
Yep, he is. Growing up being in Nebraska, we didn't like the University of Colorado too much, and Colorado was recruiting me, and he told me, I don't care where you go, even if you go to CU, I'll wear a black and gold. So he supports me a lot.
So he's a pilot in the Air Force. Yep. What's his primary responsibility?
He flies KC-135 refuelers. So they fly high up in the air, and then they have the little, it's called a boom or something, that comes out and refuels the plane. So he's got a bunch of videos on his phone. He always shows me him refueling, fighter jets and spy planes and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
Of course, you were an outstanding running back, defensive back, return specialist. You did it all in high school and did it very well. When you were looking at college, or maybe even before that, did you dream of yourself as a running back, as an offensive player, or as a defensive player?
Yeah, when I was in high school playing running back, I loved to score touchdowns, and I would watch college football on Saturdays and imagine myself, running down the sidelines with the ball in my hands, scoring touchdowns and stuff. But, as I started to grow up, I realized, for my size, I wasn't very big in high school. I kind of realized that DB or, a slot receiver somewhere around there would fit me in college, and obviously DB has. But all in all, I just wanted to go to a university where I could play and enjoy the sport. It didn't matter what position, so I'm happy playing defensive back.
If something happened and they asked you to be a running back, would you do it?
Yes. I look out there and I see Brian running around guys and scoring touchdowns, and I'm like, dang, I kind of missed that.
So here you are in your first year, you're a starter on this football team, and you've just gotten better every week. What is being a freshman in college tougher than you thought? Now, I'm not just talking about the football field, but all the way around. Is it what you expected? Is it tougher than you thought? Maybe?
I came in, on the academic side thinking it was going to be, kind of like high school where you can, go to class and, take some notes and get by through the class. But now that I've, been here for a couple weeks, I realize, the instructors don't care, how far along you are with the notes. Like, the assignments are going to be hard and all that stuff. So I've had to stay up late a few nights for, some midterm exams to really actually study and do stuff like that. So the academic side has been actually a little tougher than I expected. And then, coming in, being a true freshman, getting thrust into the, into the starting role, from right off the bat, from the second game, it was kind of a, slap in the face a little bit, in a good way, having to come in and play against guys that have been, playing college football for 3 or 4 years and who are 20, 21 years old, and you're only 18. So the transition has been pretty good for me. Obviously, I've been playing pretty well, but overall, I think college has been all that I expected, and it's exceeded in some ways, but I love it a lot.
Has being a starter, do you feel a little more pressure about that? Have you been able to handle that pressure? Were you expecting to handle that kind of pressure? Yeah,
there was a little bit of pressure, obviously, when I started starting. The first game, when I was mainly just on special teams, it was more of a, I wasn't as nervous. I knew I was just going to go out and run down on some kickoffs and stuff like that. So I really wasn't that nervous. But then when I got the nod for being the starter, I woke up really early that first Saturday against Eastern Michigan, and I was sweating, really nervous because I knew, I have a job to do. So yeah, it was pretty nerve-wracking, but obviously I figured it out. So.
Have you, I know a lot of people say that the toughest adjustment is just the speed of the game, but other than that, what's been really difficult about playing college ball?
It's been just the really intricate, defense, knowing where you have to be at every moment, Coach Mallory, the DB coach, always says offenses are going to shift to just screw with your head, and obviously they do that. And our defense shifts, we move around and stuff like that. So just learning the intricate defense and knowing where I have to be at all times has been the most challenging part. But, the speed of the game, I've been fine with that. Obviously, sometimes I'll miss my assignment, but I'll be able to just, fly around and do what I do and, make tackles. So. Everything besides the intricate defense, I've been pretty good to be thrust into the starting role for that.
Well, the Wyoming Cowboys are playing so many true freshmen and redshirt freshmen. Here's one. I think they've all done just fantastic, as young as they are, Coach. Here's Andrew Wingard, who comes to the Cowboys and is really burst onto the scene, I think.
Well, he certainly has. And he was an excellent player in high school. He was a standout player at Ralston Valley and was a Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Colorado. It's difficult for a freshman to come in and play a complex position like free safety. Our safety is kind of like a quarterback, and Andrew just keeps on getting better and better as each game comes along. He's got a very competitive nature, and I think he's a great leader as well.
He really is. He's a lot of fun to watch, too. You stay with us. More to come on Inside Wyoming Football with head coach Craig Bohl right after this timeout.
Inside Wyoming Football with Craig Bohl is brought to you by your Magnificent 7 Wyoming Toyota dealers, Wyoming Relay, the University of Wyoming International Programs Office, and the University of Wyoming Outreach School.
Well, the Cowboys have quite a task coming up at Air Force, taking on that option offense. We thought we'd get a scouting report from secondary coach Kurt Mallory. He knows what to do against that Air Force team. Here's secondary coach Kurt Mallory.
Well, they're sound. They run the football downhill, and they do a great job in what they do. And they know what they're going to do, and we just got to do a great job assignment football. Well, they've had great success running the football, and that's where you got to really be cautious, because when they do throw the ball, it can be a home run. So we got to do a great job with our eyes, and everyone's got to do their job, and that's going to be a big emphasis, going in, stopping the run, and making sure that we keep the ball inside and in front. I've had an experience to go against them once before, and boy, they were hard to stop, and they do such a great job, gaining yards, getting positive yards, and not getting that negative yards, and getting you to, third and manageable numbers, and then they'll pop one, but you really got to be great at assignment football. But they've really done a great job doing what they do year in and year out.
Well, Coach Mallory's done such a great job coaching up that young secondary coach, and quite a challenge coming up, but Coach has done a great job with those young guys in the backfield, I think.
Well, you know what, he's very experienced. He's coached at a lot of different schools. He came to us from the University of Michigan. Comes from a long line of coaches too. He's got 2 brothers that are coaching in the NFL, and I know a couple of those guys. And then his father really was one of the more noted college football coaches for many, many years. Kurt's adding a great deal of maturity in that room in the back end, and we're certainly pleased to have him.
Absolutely. Well, next up for the Cowboys, take the trip down to Colorado Springs, Falcon Stadium, Air Force Academy. That's always a tough challenge just because they do things so differently.
Well, you know what, they're a great program. Coach Calhoun's been down there for several years now, and you know, Wyoming has a long-standing competitive history against Air Force. You know, it's going to be important for us as we go down there to make sure that we limit all these big plays, and you know, we're getting closer and closer this next week. Our preparation is really going to be important, getting ready for Air Force. And then on the flip side, I think it's going to be important that we gain some yardage. Brian Hill needs to get going. That offensive line needs to get going. We can't be one-dimensional in the running game. Let's keep on working on the passing game. But what a great opportunity for us. And, you know, getting back into conference play is so important. Playing at the Air Force Academy is going to be a great experience for us and our players.
Oh, it really will be. And, of course, that game kicks off late. It's an 8:15 p.m. kickoff time down in Falcon Stadium. The Cowboys and the Air Force Academy Falcons this Saturday night. Come back next time here on Inside Wyoming Football, and we'll visit and we'll have highlights of that Air Force Wyoming game. Okay, that'll do it for us, for the head coach. I'm Dave Walsh. So long, everybody.
Malhart and Price are to the left, but he's going to throw it to the right. This caught by Tapscott. He's at the 5. Tapscott puts his head down and he's in. Touchdown, Cowboys. And in goal at the 2. Give it to Hill. He's got an opening. He's in. Touchdown, Cowboys.